All right, we are live, and the New York Mets season is officially, some would say, finally over. And they have once again not made the playoffs in back-to-back years for God knows how many times. There's only been a few times they've made it, and even some of those don't count depending how you quantify it. So we have ourselves an old-fashioned Mets therapy. I don't know if it's even a therapy session. Is there like yelling sessions? Is that a thing in the therapy world? Because there should be. I feel like there's going to be a lot of anger and sadness today. And when you have anger and sadness and, you're blowing your top, you're getting all hot under the lid, you got to get yourself a Coors Light. When the action is hot on the field or on the podcast mics here, choose chill and grab a Coors Light. When you have Coors Light on hand, even the most heated of rivals can agree on something. Coors Light is the perfect beer for game day. Reach for the only beer as cold as the Rockies. For game day chill, Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies. Shout out to everybody who made it out to the watch party, which was, it wasn't the Mets' last win of the season, but it might have been their last moment of the season, if you could even call it that. The Yang Gang coming out, which was something I certainly did not see coming. It was a very wild night altogether, but the energy in that bar was something that this team flat out just doesn't deserve. The people who were out there, those people were awesome. It sounded like it was mid-October in a fucking World Series game, the way that bar was for a regular season Mets game for a team that does not deserve any of that love because they have just drove us crazy. We were drinking Coors Lights all night. I was drinking Coors Light on Sunday, so now my savior is now Jackson Dart, who's the placeholder, because let's be honest, the Giants offense is going to suck without Malik Neighbors for the deep threat until Jalen Brunson can once again save us again. So New York, choose chill, choose Coors Light, proud partner of the New York Mets. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. So we're all going to just at some point take turns and just probably rip this team to shreds and whatever. Kev, I'll start with you. Give me your thoughts on
No,
honestly,
you know what?
This was a doomsday scenario because I did say they are going to do it the most painful way. I didn't know what that would be. The Reds losing and leaving the door open for us and us just mustering nothing. Was the most painful way to go out.
Yeah, that was the worst case scenario. I really thought and was correct that the Reds were going to lose. Yep. And it's one of those things where we all circled the Marlins on the calendar and we're like, we know what's going to happen. But then there's like a rational, logical part of you that's like, that's what should happen, probably will happen. That's our luck. That's our juju. But also there's every chance that they just like beat the Marlins and that could happen. And once again, they proved that like it feels like no matter who the owner is, no matter what the year is, no matter what's going on, the New York Mets can always find a way to disappoint. But I want to go to Phil first. I feel like I'm in a different spot than most Mets fans. I feel like Phil is probably the one right now to give you the real, like, I'm going to kill myself type reaction. So go to him first.
I could do that. Simple as that. This is the worst Mets season. I said it. I think it's one of the most embarrassing seasons in the history of Major League Baseball. A $340 million payroll, missing a 12-team playoff. It just shouldn't happen with these rules. It just flat shouldn't happen. You were 45-24. Where did they go? 38-57. The Cincinnati Reds didn't chase them down. Cincinnati Reds on 40-40 over the last 80 games. This wasn't 2007 with Jimmy Rollins and the Phillies. This wasn't 2008 where CC Sabathia was going 3 days rest, chasing them down. This wasn't 2022 where the Braves never lost. This is just the Mets collapsing and a Reds team that doesn't belong there taking their spot. And maybe, look, if they had got in, would they have lost in 2 games to the Dodgers? Sure. But we don't make the playoffs back-to-back years ever. And it's just like nothing's ever going to change. It just sucks.
That's what bothers me the most is almost like I wanted to like get that off our back a little bit and be like, yeah, we can make the playoffs in back-to-back years, which is a seriously pathetic goal, but like that's where we're at. Here's my thing. I think everything you just said is true. And that's why part of me feels like it just wasn't our year, and that's so preposterous that I almost think you have to throw this year out as the outlier. Like I think that you could play this season with that team 100 times and you replicate it. I think the vast majority of the time they make the playoffs and they're a good team. I think that lineup, when they got good pitching, When they got good pitching, we saw that they were like the best team in baseball. When they got like okay pitching, they were able to be like a winning team. And then it was when they were getting 2.2 innings from their starters every night that they couldn't make it. You can't overcome that. I genuinely feel like when you win a World Series, I feel like you need everybody to click and have like a career year. It's so hard to win a World Series that you need almost everything and everybody to go your way. You need the perfect storm. I think this was the perfect storm of the other direction. I think this is the anti-World Series. Everything that needed to go wrong basically did, and the fact that we were even like still in it down the stretch, I think is a testament to that lineup. Like, I think the people who want to blow that lineup up with, we get rid of McNeil, get rid of some of those guys for sure, but like the core is there. And with the pitching that is like already here and about to establish themselves as the rotation, this is embarrassing. It's terrible. I wouldn't call it a collapse. I would put it up there with one of the worst Mets seasons. All that stuff's true, but I just can't muster up this feeling of like we're doomed for the future. I think that this was.
I don't want to say doomed for the future, but it's not as bright as we thought it would be. Like,
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think that
the National League, the Phillies are always going to be around. The Marlins are getting better. Like, the Marlins are getting better. That is a legit thing. Like, they're not like.
Yeah, but I think if you keep that lineup together. If you have the front, you have 4 guys hitting 30-plus home runs, a couple guys who are probably going to hit 40. Alvarez, I think, eventually like kind of settles in, and maybe he's not as high as we thought, but he's like a solid catcher. Beatty becomes like your third baseman. That's a good lineup, man. That's a fucking good lineup. That is a good baseball team that 99%, if not 100% of fans would sign up for. And then you establish McLean, Sproat, and Tong as your starters. I don't see there any reason why you wouldn't think the future's bright. I think this is much more of a freak injuries, freak regression, bad luck, no clutch performance. Like, there are some inherent issues and some people that you need to fix, but I chalk this up way more to like when every single thing goes wrong. I don't think it's like you need to change everything you're doing. I think this year will end up being the outlier when you look back. I know people don't want to hear that, and they probably think that I'm like being an apologist or a pacifist, but I think when you look back of like a 5-year period, this will be the outlier year if you keep this team together.
Yeah.
Big if, too, because Pete Alonso opting out at the press conference was like reminiscent of LeBron pulling off the jersey going down the tunnel.
That was stupid. That was stupid. I wish he didn't do that.
I
also
was
all for it.
February, though. Like,
he's got 126 RBIs, 41 doubles, 38 home runs. We have 2 of the top 4 players in the National League for RBIs this season, and you can't get fucking 85 wins. Are you?
But doesn't that like, to me, that signals like this is a freak year. I think if you do this that exact thing 99 times, you get in the playoffs, and the one time you don't, and it was this fucking year.
That tells me that there's no urgency from the front office and no urgency from the team of just pulling on your laurels and just being like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll call up the pitchers that we're most heavily relying on in August. If we make it to the postseason, those are the guys that we're going to get us through any type of situation. And then you come out and throw a bullpen day on the final game of the season. That was driving me insane. I don't know about you guys. The 3 batter minimum doesn't fucking work for a bullpen game in which you're going to pull Brooks Rally for no reason. You're going to pull Shomanai after 5 outs.
I didn't care about pulling Manai that early.
Our pitchers were the downfall for the season. So let's throw the most amount of pitchers we've ever thrown in a game in the final game of the season.
Pulling Manai early didn't affect them that much, because how many times have we seen Manai hit that wall in the 2nd or 3rd inning? And
are they saving Peterson?
Going to Stanek was the issue, because Ryan Stanek, 65 appearances, 5 ERA. The fact he was allowed to stay on the team from April to the end of the season, just enough time
to let him face 3. If it's just 1 and you're like, whatever, pull him.
The Marlins scored in 2 innings that entire series.
Really? That was Jesus.
That's sickening, man.
And in the end, it's like we gave up 4 runs. If you told me we'd give up 4 runs to the Marlins yesterday, the lineup could score 8 any given night. They could also get 2 runs, 3 hits any given night. It was
that ball. So like some of it, what are you gonna do?
Stanek was obviously and has always been a problem, but at the end of the day, if you told me that in game 162 we gave up 4 runs, if they got their doors blown off, I would chalk it up to another night of the pitching sucking. I think the pitching like kind of did like good enough, and that it happened to be a night when the offense went to sleep. And to me, I don't want to give them a pass, but it's like they could never get on the same page. And when that doesn't happen, it's sort of like, you can flip a coin 50 times in a row. Like theoretically, it can come up heads 50 times. It's probably not going to happen. It should never happen, but it does. It could. And I feel like that's what happened with this team is like it over the course of 9 months, 10 years, it felt like 10 years. They just never, it was whack-a-mole. When you're up, I'm down. When you're down, I'm up. You can look at all these individual decisions and all. I think it should. By the way, I totally disagree with the idea that they didn't have urgency. Like they brought up 3 kids who they never planned on bringing up because they were like
too late. It was we're gonna figure it out and throw fucking slapdicks on the mound for a month and a half.
June and July was bad. That's tough for the Mets. June, July was bad.
The Tong was urgency because there was zero chance I thought Tong would get called up.
Right.
McLean was not urgent.
Is because McLean immediately showed up.
Right, but that's also like
ready then too.
That's hindsight because they pitched well, and it was like, why the fuck didn't we bring them up 2 months earlier? Nobody was clamoring for those guys or thought it was going to happen until it was desperate and we needed it, and they did make those moves to try to salvage things. I think, and the same thing with the deadline. Like, I think if you put Stearns on a lie detector test, I think he'd be like, we wanted to win. I made upgrades, but I was never going to mortgage the future. This was not our year. This is not our plan. We have a longer-term plan that we're sticking to. That's why I don't put stock in like quotes from Mendoza or any of that shit. Like so much of this is driven by fans and media. Whereas I think the reality is if you were really talk to those guys, they'd be like, we put together what we thought was a winning team. What, by the way, all the fans thought was a winning team. If you were one of those fans out there early on saying, actually, I think this rotation is going to be injury prone and they're going to run out of gas, fine. Then you can say all you want. I think everybody was cool with all the Stearns moves until they all imploded. And yes, that means that's a negative, that's a knock against you. If all your gut reactions, all your like you put all your eggs in this basket and it didn't work, but everybody was okay with that at the time. It just, there was no execution ever. And I know we want like fire and passion and accountability and you want to hear it's just that stuff is not real. It's not how it works. It's like you want that to like satiate you as a fan who's irrational and being crazy. But as far as like the ownership and management, like they put together a team that everybody thought would win. It didn't even come close. I don't know what you do other than like throw that the fuck out and move on. I don't think you can like harp on that because to me it's way more of like a when it rains it pours. If there was like put it this way, if it was like back in the day with the Wilpons, it would be like we don't have a bullpen and the bullpen would be our problem. And that's why we lost. And it's like, we fucking told you so. Or we don't have a top end starter. And then like it showed it. Or when we like every time we knew there was a problem and then that problem fucked us, you can scream and yell because it's like, how did you guys not know to fix these problems? They addressed almost everything they could when just nobody steps up or everybody gets injured or your moves just don't work. What can you do?
It's two main guys. It was Sean Manaea who missed the first 3 months and shit to bed entirely. And Kodai Senga,
and they're both hurt.
Senga was a Cy Young candidate in June. Then he pulled his hamstring because the Pete Alonso throw, which is a whole nother thing we can get into.
Yep.
And Senga got sent to the minor leagues. And now, did you see Senga's presser after the game yesterday? He's like, "Oh, my body was injured, never recovered after that." We're talking about a torn hamstring. Did that like affect like his shoulder? Is Senga going to miss the entire next season because of this? Like,
I don't know. A torn hamstring is pretty fucking bad, dude. That's
no, it's not torn. It's a pulled hamstring. Let me clarify. It was a pulled hamstring.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, yes, that's my point too. It's like
you can't rely on Senga anymore. Like, you can't go into next season saying we're gonna get 30 starts at Senga. I don't know if we're gonna get 5.
But that, like, did anybody see that coming?
No.
What are you supposed to do when you have
in a do or die game in which he was available? We decided to leave him in AAA. That's where we were at by the end of the season. I'm saying our ace that going into the season was left in AAA in a deciding final game of the season because they knew bringing him up was not going to work.
But that's what I really can't think of another circumstance or another team where you're like the guy that was a Cy Young, had an ERA of like 1 is now not even serviceable, can't put him in a major league game. Your guy that was like your horse that carried you to a postseason run last year. You re-signed him. You got him. He got hurt. Like, these are things that I feel like if it happens in some team in the Midwest, everyone's like, man, that sucks. What bad luck. This team was so set up. And then they had, a couple key injuries and a couple key things go the wrong way. But man, what could have been? And when it's the Mets and it's New York and it's a high payroll, I get all that. It turns into like, how could, like, fuck you. It's your fault. You suck. It's your problem. I think a lot of that is kind of narrative driven and like irrational reaction driven. Who else? Who would overcome that? How does anybody get around that?
No, and like the Minaya and the Senga thing, I think are both like Senga has always felt a little delicate. You have to like give him the extra day, and you go and I said it like go back and fucking me. I was saying like his numbers are great, but if they're not swinging at the fork, it's like he has nothing else. He doesn't have a plan B or C. It's just the way he is. But when he does have it, he's untouchable, which is why he's untouchable. I'm telling you, there's going to be like 5 surgeries we're going to see on the calendar in the next.
That's what I keep saying. Sean Manaea, loose bodies in his elbow. What's going to happen with Senga's shoulder? David
Peterson has to go into the knife. Even if
Peterson better be hurt. I hate to say this, I'm almost hoping for him to be hurt because it explains what happened. Because that's another thing. How many times on this podcast, deep into the season, did we say Peterson is our one respectable starter? He's the only guy who's gone 8 innings. He can go 7 innings. When all of a sudden you're Senga and Manaea, you can't count on, and then 3/4 of the way through the season, Peterson, who you could count on, all of a sudden he is in the boat with them. These are things that are so impossible to overcome that I almost want to give them credit in a way for still even being a part of it.
Another like Reed Garrett, but before they announced Reed Garrett needed Tommy John surgery, it's like, oh, he was going to get a surgery to move like a nerve in his arm that he was pitching through. Why the fuck was he pitching through that with inherited runners in the highest stress moment
all the time?
3 fucking months.
I think they threw him like five straight after he got back.
Yeah, that was crazy.
He came off the injured list. It was 3 times in 4 days. It's like, what the fuck are we doing?
And then throw in AJ Minter and Max Kranick and Griffin Canning. Like, there's a lot of shit that Stearns did do that was not really his fault that it fell apart. And then even like the plugins that he came up with worked for a little while. Like, I don't know. It felt like the ship was sinking for a long time and they stayed afloat as long as like any team and any manager and GM possibly could have.
Griffin Canning was a hit until he tore his Achilles. Clay Holmes was a hit. Like, Clay Holmes did exactly what he was supposed to do.
I think Clay Holmes was a hit.
Yeah. Clay Holmes had a good season. Clay Holmes had the season you would hope he would have. He threw the most innings of his career at a 3.53 ERA. 12-8 wins and losses don't really matter anymore. We know that. But like last year, we had 73 outings in 162 games of 6 innings or more. This year, we had 43.
Jesus.
So the starting pitching fucked us. Then in turn,
that fucks the bullpen,
and everybody got hurt.
Yes.
And
yes.
I said going into this series, regardless of if they made the postseason, this is the biggest fraud club in my history of watching the Mets. In terms of they should be better, but they're not. And if they do advance, it's just going to be a consolation prize anyway. Like,
but wait, I don't get that. That I don't understand. We just laid out why they're not frauds and like what happened. Like,
because you can't on any given night. We're not going to score, which we just saw. The pitching
they
was
are
never going to show up unless you're relying again on McLean, Sproat, and then whoever else. And even then, like, it's a very short body of work. You don't know if they're going to push us deep. So it's like. You have Soto has the most home runs of his career. Alonso has like the most RBIs and most doubles. Like there was nothing else they could do scoring wise. It just so happened we'd score 10 runs in one game and score no runs the rest of the way.
That's what I'm saying. I think that lineup, if you simulate this season with that lineup, the vast majority of the time they're going to score more runs consistently than they did.
You're saying they're spread it out?
Yeah, I just think that like there is an element of that's baseball Susan to the idea that like you'd score 10 and then 0. I think next season you run that almost that same lineup out there with that core. I bet you it's 5-5. Like that to me just feels like there are times they hit 7 home runs in a game and then there are times they went to sleep, and it streakiness is not a good thing, but it's also something in baseball. Like Juan Soto almost encapsulates like the whole season. Like everybody that watches and like really understands, not the idiots, would tell you Juan Soto was playing well the whole time. It was just, the expected batting average and hard hit balls and all these things that were not going his way. And then as soon as it did go his way, everything's fine. I think that almost is what happened to this whole lineup, where it's just like, can you point to like anybody in the core. Like the bottom half of the lineup does stink, and that does need to be addressed. But like, I would sign up for that season from Lindor, Soto, Pete, and Nimmo again.
Yeah.
Every single time for the rest of my life.
Right.
So like, I think that's not the issue. You know, like I think it's just how it all played out this year is the issue. But I don't think it's a performance issue on the offense with certain guys. I mean, we'll get into it later about who we want to keep and who we don't. There are some guys that gotta fucking go.
Mark Vientos, the biggest regression of all the kids. Francisco Alvarez, as good as he was still sent down to the minor leagues in June because he was that bad. Brett Beatty's our third baseman next year, or trade. I don't care. But Brett Beatty's earned a spot on a major league roster. I think that's fair to say. Ronnie Mauricio, I don't know what you do with him. They didn't play him at all that last month because it made sense not to. And you're throwing him out in the fire the last 3 weeks. The guy's everything in the fucking dirt.
That was the one thing I think they set that guy up for fucking failure. I know I'm a Ronnie guy, so I'm probably biased, but like
they didn't want to option him down because that would lose his trade value because you want to have an option again next year.
Yeah, but you know what doesn't help your trade value? Playing you 5 times in a month and then throwing you into the fire.
You killed an entire year of his development, and I think it's likely he gets traded. But
he was asking to go play in the Winter League. They were like, we make the playoffs. You need to stick around.
Same when he tore his ACL in.
And Vientos is another good example. It's like, again, if you were beating the drum early in the year that Vientos is going to have his big regression, then you can say whatever you want. I did not think that was going to happen. And I don't want to give too much. I don't want to give him too much like slack because you have to bank on it's like sophomore type regressions are a thing that happen a lot. It's not like totally unbelievable, but I think to the extent that he did was pretty fucking surprising. So, you know, there are things that you bank on that I don't think you're asking too much, and they all went about as bad as possible.
Even Tyrone Taylor, who I like, he went from a league average bat to like an OPS like hovering around the 600 for the last weekend.
Possible to withstand.
You can't do that.
Which still somehow was better than Cedric Mullins.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He was so bad those first 4 months at the plate that they had to trade for Cedric Mullins, who also was bad.
Yeah, the Tyrone Taylor at the bottom of the lineup, if the bottom of the lineup was just average or even below average, except for like a black hole, we would have just lived with his bat there. We did it with Raul Ordonez during the times where we were able to form a line, but you can't do it with him and then, you know, the 3 other guys, all the kids aren't hitting. And listen, Brett Beatty, I'm going to say my guy earned that spot no matter where it is. Like you said, Phil, he should be third base somewhere. However, like, there's like Brett Beatty could go and hit 180 next year. Like,
that's the problem is nobody. I feel like if Beatty's ceiling is here and his bottom is here, I'd rather just sign up for the middle. You don't have to reach your full potential, but just stop stop going through those spurts where I think you're not even a major league player. That's the problem with all those guys is they have a lot of potential, but their floor is also so goddamn low. And also, if I see him get picked off one more time, I don't care what he's doing. But then, I feel like if everything else on the team was clicking, those 3 kids are like, would have been the problem that we're trying to figure out. But that's, last on the list of your issues when everything else goes to shit.
So a main stat I want to highlight, on the day of the trade deadline, or maybe a little before, like July 27th, the Mets were 3rd in the league in team ERA. Where did they finish?
Gotta be fucking in the 20s.
18th.
Yep.
18th. From 3rd to 18th in a matter of 2 months.
And that probably means, so like if you throw out their good, like if you just look at that, the second half or the 2 quarters, 3 quarters, whatever, they're probably gotta be like the worst, right?
It's not. Yeah, I think it was like 28th or 29th.
Yeah.
Probably the Rockies may have been like the only team worse than them, which makes sense. It's Colorado, but you're going from literally one of the best in baseball to literally the worst.
Did anybody see that? Did anybody predict that?
And that's the great. You go back to July, Senga and Minaya were pretty good in those limited like things. You're like, okay, maybe they're gonna build off this, and that's why they didn't trade for a starting pitcher. It was like Senga's are. It's the Alderson thing. Oh, we don't need to trade for a starting pitcher because we got these guys coming off injury.
We're getting them back, yeah.
And those guys weren't back.
But
another thing, we went into March too. We were like, oh, there's going to be a starting pitcher at the trade deadline. There's a chance to upgrade. There was no starting pitcher at the deadline that would have swung this team in a playoff series. There were some that probably could have got them to the playoffs because it was only 1 game, but. Like, there's nobody worth mortgaging.
No one's gonna shift that rotation. Well, I mean, McLean did that part's true, but that's because we had him available ace up our sleeves. You can't make those things, materialize on the trade market.
I'm not gonna be like, oh, they should have traded for Sandy Alcantara when he was the worst pitcher in baseball. Like, no,
Right.
there would have been
I
an
mean,
insane
okay.
move to make.
So put it this way then. Like, if we had McLean, Tong, and Sproat for the entire season, do you
I
think
would
we're in
have
the
just
play?
taken July.
If we had,
But just say if we had him, we had them from day one, where do you think this team is?
We had the version of them at the end of the season all year.
If you had the McLean, Sproat, Tong, three-headed, and then whatever else your rotation is, but if you had them from day one and you knew what they were, where do you think this team is?
And player X. I mean, we're in the playoffs. Yeah, we're
right. So
the
to me, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what next year is going to be.
Yeah, I do think, and you have all the Mets haters are like, oh, you guys are saying this is a transition year of a $330 million payroll. Like, again, you go back to the preview. We're in like, oh, we're saying like 80s for wins. We're saying, all right, we got to hopefully take a step, prove last year wasn't a fluke. It's not going to be as good or easy as it was in the second half of last year, but it won't be as bad as hopefully in the beginning. And we literally just flip-flopped last year. We were awesome in the first 2 months and absolute garbage, which is like, I have a problem, like you said, Kev. Like, if you want to call it a collapse. I think, like, if it was a Midwest team, they're not talking about how good a team was until June, because we were, like, one of the worst teams in baseball for 3.5 months. Like, no Mets fan is like, I can't believe we lost this. Again, I'm not going to do the 07-25. We did that last episode. But 07, I thought that team was winning the World Series until, like, September 27th.
That's the difference.
This one, I was like, oh, maybe they can win a World Series if everything breaks right. And I was saying that in like August 10th. I was saying that, I came to grips with this team a lot sooner. And everyone's talking about 07, how they collapsed. That team had the same fucking issues. The pitching was all banged up. Like, injuries happen. That's how sports work. And it's how you have the organization and like the depth you have to fill in those holes. And like Phil said, it was Paul Blackburn and a bunch of bullpen games. And guess what? We lost every single one of those. And if we just won one of them, we're in the playoffs.
We'll be fine. Yep. A collapse is the worst thing in the world because it's a 2-week, 3-week blip on the radar, and someone else, by the way, gets hot and capitalizes. It's the perfect storm, and you're left wondering what if, because you think all we needed to do was make the playoffs. If it was one game more and we won, or one game less that we didn't lose, we'd be in the playoffs, and then we can just resume being the team that we've been for the last 80% of the season. That's not the case here, because it's like we would just resume being the team that we've been for the last 90, 100 games, So it's like, if you were, there's a ton of fans out there who don't watch every day, who aren't Mets fans, who just know the payroll and the names, and they're like, they think it's a collapse. They're gonna make fun of it. It's like, if you were watching, that this was more indicative of. I really believed that if they made it in, they could make as much noise as anybody. And then by the end of it was like, I don't think that's the case. If not, if the breaks are going to keep going the way they do for this team, I don't think anything could change that.
Is that not the definition of a fraud baseball club? Like the winning percentage and the record did not reflect at all the team that we were running
on paper. Yeah, but I think
that's the thing, and that's what people look at. I could argue the start of the season, the starting pitching was propping us up, and they were all pitching above water for whatever their averages were. Like, would Griffin Canning have continued on the trajectory he was on if he didn't blow out his Achilles? I don't know, but he was definitely pitching better than he ever had in his career. Max Kranick was not a guy we were supposed to be relying on, and then he came up and he just kept giving them reasons to run him out there because the other guys weren't performing. So, like, even in the beginning when we were streaking and doing well, we were relying on people that we weren't necessarily supposed to be relying on going into the season. And then when Manaea came back, and then when these other guys came back that we were supposed to be relying on and tying up all this money in, 3 years, $75 million, we all wanted him back, and then he came back and he couldn't throw, right? So then what does Mendoza do? He goes out and says, we're going to split these games. Clay Holmes is going to start, and Manaea is we're going to tag team it. Works for one game. He goes on paternity leave and then comes back and he's like, you know what? I'm actually going to flip-flop it. For what reason? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, that was bad. And I get what you're saying in the general sense.
Over the course of a season could lose like maybe 5 games for you.
I think in the sense of like they weren't as good as they were on paper, what they thought they were. That is like fraud in the general sense. I just don't think it's fraudulent when it's like injuries. When your pitching staff is just riddled with injuries, and then there's a couple guys that didn't work out. Like, I can't absolve them of everything and put it all on injuries. But when that happens and that affects your bullpen, like, those are the two facets of the game that really fucked us. I think the offense, while streaky, was still one of the best offenses we've ever watched. So it's fraudulent, but I think with reason. It's not just like Minaya was totally healthy, totally good, and sucked. Same thing with Senga. I don't know. I mean, maybe we've learned now that they maybe Senga is just bad. I don't know, but I can't just say that they were everything went according to plan and they didn't play well. That to me would be more fraudulent. I think there was a lot of X factors.
People keep referencing the no comeback wins. I think it's like they only had like one game of like 5+ down, or like two when it was 4+. So the main thing is they also just punted so many games. It was like they're managing games in like June and July, like they were automatically going to be in the playoffs. And like Frank referenced it, the July 18th game versus the Reds, first game out the All-Star break. Sean Minaya, 4 innings, 1 run. It's like, okay, his second start off the injured list, we're not going to push him. With a fully rested bullpen, Carlos Mendoza went to Alex Carrillo in the 5th inning, gave up 3 home runs. Brendan Waddell gets the last like 11 outs and gets optioned the next day. That's the fucking thing they kept doing. It was always like one mop-up guy down, another one comes in. One mop-up guy down, another one comes in. They just had to keep using fucking mop-up guys, punting games away. Never even tried to come back in half those fucking games.
Yeah, no, there's definitely like a bunch of individual spots you can point to that, you know, when things were going good, Mendoza was fine. You were pushing a bunch of buttons and they all worked because things were just, you know, the baseball gods were smiling on you. Down the stretch, there was a lot of questionable decisions that I get. But it's like this. We talked about it with Chavez, with Hefner, Mendoza. These guys are all, and Mendoza, you know, deserves more of the blame because he is more affecting the game itself. But these are all things you want to scream and yell about, and you want your pound of flesh because you want some sort of like answer for the question. But I think if everybody just pitches well or stays healthy, none of these things even matter.
They already are. I think Martino confirmed, but there is going to be changes to the coaching staff, which I don't know like what that can mean. It can mean Chavez.
There is not, or there is.
There is coming.
Yeah, I would be stunned if it's Mendoza.
It's not Mendoza.
No, they put out immediately after the game. They said, "By the way, he's coming back."
Yeah,
but he should.
You can't fire a manager after 2 years.
You can't fire back-to-back managers after 2 years.
Yeah,
you can't do that. You can't. That instability. That instability is worse than like having a manager who's pushing the wrong buttons. I mean, I would love to find a Terry Francona. Like, is there a baseball lifer that is still like keeping up with the modern days?
Like who
I would love that, but
who would we bring in?
Yeah, well, I don't know. We did. Yes, I agree. But then how many fans were clamoring to get rid of him?
Not me.
You cannot win with this fan base.
Not me.
The Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, I know we weren't, but there's a lot of people who were, and it's like, well, which do you fucking want? Man.
Who are bringing a respected veteran manager like Bob Melvin who goes 500 every year, or like another like guy like Mendoza? It's like, oh, it's a rookie manager. It's
and
like,
if they were winning, we wouldn't be talking about him at all.
Yeah. You can't fire him. Like, regardless of if you were happy with the decisions he made, like that just sends the wrong message all the way through.
He'll be on the hot seat next season. He'll be on the hot seat next season for sure, but you can't fire him now.
I think these are things like. It's almost like I look at it like at Barstool. It's like if when there are fans in the comment section like this person needs to get fired and this person sucks, and then if you're here and you know internally you're like no, like those people are crazy. This is fine. Hey, you know, could we do better? Whatever. Like I just think these are things that if you were to really talk behind closed doors to the ownership and management, they'd be like, no, this is baseball. It's fucking crazy. Like there are ups, there are downs. You get good luck, bad luck. You make some mistakes, you do something good, but like you can't just fire, new. It's just the nature of how you need to build a franchise. It takes time.
At the end, I've seen this way too much as a fan of the Giants, but like when things are off the rails at the end of the year, that's when like the crazy stuff. And I think Mendoza will admit he had like a really probably bad like last couple of weeks here, or even Ronnie. It's just like I don't know what the fuck they're doing with the pitching right now, and that's not. I guarantee that's not just Mendoza. Him, Hefner, pitching people are probably figuring out what the strategy was. There was a lot of stuff that made no sense. I go back to the Marte at second base. It's like, do not run that. That guy can't even play the field. You're so scared of his, getting injured and he's old. You can't have him get thrown out at home and you lose the game because that, which by the way, was their 5th straight loss. It was just one of those like dark periods. Get the win. He was a young manager. He was a rookie last year, made it to the NLCS. I heard how Tom Thibodeau could never possibly be fired because he made it to the conference finals, yet Mendoza did the same thing here in his first year with the club. So they're going to give him another shot. Just going to have to grin and bear it. What I need from him, though, and this is kind of something I've learned as I've gotten older, it's like I need him to learn the lessons from the losses. That's what I do with losses. You got to learn lessons. I can't have the mistakes from this year repeated again next year. The one Phil said with the bullpen usage right out of the All-Star break, the way he's, babying guys. He has to get better at that game management. Maybe the guys they fire and bring in new guys, those guys help with it. the first base coach has to stay. That is number one.
I love that guy.
That guy
Love
is number one on the list. That's all I care about right there.
Yep.
I think we'll move on to hold or fold just because I know everyone, Phyllis, Flight, have you your thing. We'll move on to that just to like see who we want to keep, who we want to go and go down the individuals. But I'm just gonna say everyone pick. We won't break it down, but I want you to pick one word to describe the 2025 Mets.
Pathetic.
Okay, fair. Mine's frustrating. I've been saying it all year because the talent's there. I know there's injuries, but it's like the lineup doesn't hit when they have to, but then they hit and the pitching doesn't. It was just the most frustrating season I've had as a fan across the board in any sport ever. And I'm a Mets and a Mets, Giants, Knicks fan. Kyle?
Mine's that hyphenated word, hate watch, because that's all I did.
And that's what we're doing in the playoffs at this point. We're hate watching all the other teams.
I will be hate not watching.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm not
even better.
I would go with something like inconceivable, and not in the sense of like, how did this team, like a $300 million team, didn't make the playoffs? Just like it was incomprehensible how often things went bad, either bad luck, bad performance, bad injuries. Just like, how can this keep happening? A truly, like, when it rains it pours type of inconceivable season that sucks the most. But it's also like I said, I'm just so inclined to be like, that's not gonna happen again. And maybe it will, because we're Mets fans, and that, like, if something is impossible, it can happen to Mets fans. But I really feel like that this was the perfect storm, and an inconceivable season that'll never happen again, God willing.
As your boy Jay Hay said, and it's kind of, he said it's kind of funny that the year the Mets fans said they can't cancel the season was the one season that they
should have canceled. That's Mets life, man. That's baseball. That's Mets life.
All right, so we're gonna do a little hold and fold, like they used to do in the papers. They probably still do it. I don't get the paper anymore. And that's gonna be brought to you by friends at Game Time. There's nothing like crisp fall night at the ballpark, but trying to get there brutal. You're stuck in a queue. Prices jump at checkout. You're logged out mid-click. And all you want is to be in the stands, beer in hand, yelling with the crowd. I'll tell you, boys, out of all the misery the Mets gave me yesterday, Jackson Dart flipped it on its head and actually made me feel happy about sports for the first time in a long time. So I was very grateful of that. And the friends at Game Time who gave me, but we had awesome seats we got through Game Time. It's absolutely beautiful. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experience in a few taps. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you to get 100% authentic MLB tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you get. So, hate to do this, boys, but there is a game taking place in New York, a playoff game taking place, a few of them. And it's Red Sox at Yankees, Garrett Crochet on the mound. We're going to need someone to be the protectors of the realm, and the Red Sox were the first and best at it for a while there. We're going to go grandstand outfield, 430, row 6, 90. It was $94 each.
Wow.
It just went down $1 as I was reading it. So
that's cheap, though. That's like a playoff baseball game for $90 is great.
Brian Cashman's bum ass used to sleep on the curb for his tickets, right? That's the whole stupid.
And wait, by the way, as you finish up this ad read, I do like Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone, like Yankees fans are screaming, they hate them, fire them, and then they make the playoffs, and everyone's like, whatever, I don't know. You know what I mean? These are things, just win, baby.
Yeah, all the Yankees fans are retweeting all the old Mets tweets, getting their pounded. They don't care about us until they have to just like make their life about us for a day. That's fine. Nothing but the best. Extend Cashman, extend Boone, all the whole 9 yards. And go to Red Sox at Yankees. Send Portnoy there, too. Let's get Portnoy in the mix. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code BELIEVE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code BELIEVE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. And I know there's definitely going to be a few Yankees fans hate watching us right now and just, like drinking our tears. Hey, tough guy. Go on Game Time, buy a ticket, use code BELIEVE, screenshot it to me. I want to see you do it. Send it to Kevin. You know it's going to burn him up inside. He hates the Bronx. Go with your gabagool people in right field. Turn your back to Juan Soto if he's ever shown on the big board, and get your code through your tickets through Game Time. All right, hold or fold. So I'm gonna throw out a name, and you tell hold. You want to keep the guy with the Mets. Fold. Get the fuck out of here, cancel the player, or whatever you want to say. And I'm going to start with the big guys because those are the ones that really matter. And the biggest one, and I'm with Phil where it doesn't matter. Everyone knew Pete was opting out as soon as he got hot. try not to let that news get out for maybe like 48 hours as like the fresh wound is.
That was a terrible move. Terrible move.
He's been doing this since day one, though. We know Pete. He's not very good at this stuff. It's the Donnie Stevenson probably told him to do it. So Pete Alonso, hold or fold, and we're going to say he's going to get 2 good offers from big teams. And let's say one of them is a team where we will not want to see him. I don't know if it would be the Yankees, the Phillies, it's not going to be the Mariners, and we're never going to think about Pete again kind of a thing. Hold or fold, Pete Alonso.
I think you are fucking insane if you want to get rid of Pete Alonso. Assuming reasonable money. Like he's going to want more money. I get that. If there's somebody out there that offers him like 8 years, $300 million, of course, like that's a different story. That man has done everything that they've asked of him. If there was someone else out there that batted 275 with almost 40 home runs and 130 RBIs, we would be screaming, Steve Cohen's got to open his wallet, get that guy at all costs. But for some reason, the guy who is homegrown and has done it all for us and had clutch moments, playoff heroics, set records, the type of guy that I don't like to overstate the importance of homegrown, but there's also something to be said for having franchise guys, so there is a premium on that. I cannot even fathom the people who want to get rid of him. I don't get it at all. I never will. I think he deserves to be a Met for life. I think nickel and diming this guy is fucking insane. I do think they'll be able to get him at a reasonable price. I hope, because otherwise, by the way, we created this fucking situation by not just giving him what we wanted. If there is another team that swoops in because he played so well, he's earned it. He bet on himself. He did it. I wish he did it a little bit of a year earlier. But otherwise, you're going to go watch Pete Alonso go hit 200 home runs for someone else. It's going to happen. It feels like Schwarber-esque when there were times, Schwarber's not good in the field, and where do we put him, and what do we do with him? And there's 2 teams that passed on him, and then all of a sudden the Phillies have him, and it's like, oh my God, what will we do without him? I can see how this is going to play out, especially for Mets fans. Just pay the guy and don't even fucking think about it again. The only request I have for Pete is if they let him go, they're stupid. If they do sign him, make sure there's no opt-outs. Make sure it's long enough. I don't want to do this anymore. Give the guy his money. Plant him at first base. He's the most durable. He never misses a play. His defense is way better than what people say it is. There's no reason for this franchise, who has been barren and devoid of players like him our whole existence, to not give this guy what he deserves.
We can't lie about his defense, Kevin. He's the reason.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's the reason why Senga was out for fucking
all right, so there's one play that you're going to point to.
Base.
What?
He has a throwing problem. He does.
Yes, that is true. If you think that the dozen times a year that Pete Alonso has to throw a ball to first base is so much more important than 40 home runs and 130 RBIs, his glove is actually good. His glove is phenomenal.
The bat's a different story. The bat, he's been a consistent slugger. Whenever that drops off, I don't know when it'll happen, but we can't sit here and lie. Oh, he's a better defense than what he thought of. No, he's really an awful.
He's great at picking. He's safe.
His glove is phenomenal.
His range is non-existent, and those throwing
that's
things
fine.
always
that's fine.
But
he has saved Lindor so many errors. His actual glove is great. His range is not good, and the few times he has to throw the ball around the diamond, it's not good. That's in what world do we pay first baseman sluggers for their defense? What are people talking about?
I think if they keep him around, which I think they will, you do have to consider making him a DH more than just play him at first base.
Fine, I guess so. But if you think that Pete Alonso's defense is the problem, I don't know what you're watching.
It knocked Senga out.
There's one freak play. Yeah, I get that. But so if Senga didn't get hurt, would you be okay with his defense?
Yes, because we'd be in the playoffs.
Okay, so then his defense isn't a problem.
I'd be more than fine with that.
Okay, but so you're saying that one freak play is now defining whether he's a good or bad glove?
He's a bad glove based off the stats. His defensive run saved is
right. But I'm saying you're pointing to the Senga injury. That's not really doesn't have to do with
it. And he also, how many times?
But that's not his the injury resulting is not you can't judge someone's play on a injury that occurred.
You guys are also having 2 different conversations because Kevin's saying he's got a good glove in that he picks up all the other throws. Phil's saying he doesn't get to balls that he should be getting to. So, like, yes, he makes the
Right.
plays that are hit to him, but he misses balls that other people.
But that's like okay. Like in what? Why all of a sudden do you need to be a Gold Glove defender when you hit 40 home runs?
Years
we're a
of just
bad
burying
defensive
people
team.
left field. So yeah.
If Pete Alonso was a great glove, he'd be like an MVP. Like he'd be unbelievable. So it's like, yeah, he's not a complete perfect player, but his defense is about what you need or expect from a guy who also slugs at first base.
Outside Lindor, who on his team is a good fielder.
That's
the thing. We're not a good defensive team.
The catchers. I think our defense. I think catchers have been great
Lindor,
defensively.
Tyrone Taylor when he's out there. But other than that, Soto's compromised.
80's fine.
Nemo, I guess, is good. Vientos, he should never have a glove ever again. And Beatty. But for the most part, they're not a good defensive team.
Yeah, no,
I think they're like a serviceable team, though. I don't know. I go through that list of like the third base was a problem, and even Soto. Like I don't know. I just when you hit the way these guys hit, like that's how it goes. And if they're great at defense, then you'd have a team full of like MVPs. Like they're not perfect or complete players, but I don't think there were definitely times where the defense was maddening. But in years gone by, there were times where it was like this team's defense will be their undoing. I don't think it was like that with this team.
I think they were like 18th in defensive run saved, like something. I forgot what it was, but it was.
I think if that team, if this team pitches, like we're not. I don't think their defense is a problem.
Are you holding or folding, Phil?
I'm indifferent. One way or the other, I don't really.
That's just crazy to me. Like, Mets fans who are turning down 40 home runs just doesn't compute.
It is depending on the price. If it's 4 years, 100 or like 120, I don't care. Like that's fine. 4 years, 3 years, that's fine. We're not doing fucking like 6 years and dealing with that.
I mean, he's not going to take. Wouldn't that be a pay cut to go to 4 years, 100 million?
Well, he's opting out of
1 million a year.
Yeah, it's got to be more than that. I'll promise you that.
He's opting out of 24 million this year, which was obvious.
And then he's getting the.
So let's say it's 4-110 or like 4-120. I think that's more than fair.
30 million a year. Kyle,
just give him a 5th year and call it a fucking.
You have to hold him. I think you give him the contract with the stipulation of like you get 2 years at first base, and then 2 more years at DH with an option for us to pick you up on like whatever a max is. I think that's the way you get it done. I think he wants to be here long term. He's 30. He'll be 35 at that point. But like the biggest thing is his durability. So like last year, the problem was that he was hitting the ball, but his like launch angle was off and like all these other things that he seemingly has fixed. He was still making great contact, velocity of exit velo and everything. That was all where it needed to be. It was just like for whatever the reason last year, he was not striking the ball at the same angle. And because of that, he had the down year. You look at like they just paid. That's the only problem, though, is like Vladdy Jr. just got paid a stupid amount of money for a player that he's not. Like, that is so dumb to me. And if that set the market, then we're screwed. And he is going to find that somewhere else. Some other dumb team.
That's why they fucked themselves, though, playing this game. With the opt-outs and the low ball, it's like...
He's not going to have the qualifying offer attached, too. So you're not
if he really wants to be here, I think he will have to take, like, deferred payments, too, because it's just going to hamstring the team from being, like, addressing all the other issues.
I also don't blame the guy, though, for like it sounded like that negotiation was terrible. And it was sort of like, we'll see who's right and we'll see who's wrong. And he was definitively right. He has every right now to be like, fuck you, pay me. And they kind of made this monster by like not paying him ahead of time. And I understand why they didn't. And
John Heyman's Boris is gonna tell John Heyman to write the articles like, oh, the Yankees need a first baseman, the Phillies can move Bryce Harper to right field and sign a first baseman.
Man.
And it's like,
I just don't get like why of all people this dude who's done a lot. I know he has like his warts, but he's also done a ton for the team, and
no issues, like
no durability. For whatever reason, we focused on the negative. Like he can't throw the ball to second base. It's like why don't we talk about all the positives?
At the same time, with those free agent contracts, you're paying for future, not the past. Like we've already had his best seasons. I think it's fair to say we
said that last year, bro, and then he had his best season.
I don't think he's having a better season than what he had.
Every
this year.
free agent said this last year. In the history of baseball, though, you're paying them for what they've done. You're not paying them for what they're going to be.
And he'll be 31.
Especially when it's like a franchise guy. Like I understand not paying for somebody when it's like you came and you went, you weren't a part of us. Like you need guys like this. He's proven himself. He's gonna hit
contract.
What's that?
He's never had a big contract. He's a college guy, so like he's waiting for that big payday that he could retire forever on.
I think this is the craziest. Like, I just cannot believe, especially Mets fans. It's like when Mets fans complain about Cohen. I'm like, you remember what it was like with the Wilpons, right? To like not treasure Pete Alonso for what he's done. It just does not compute to me.
The good news for Pete is that now after this year, it's starting to look like the 23 season where he batted 217 with 46 bombs still is like the
outlier.
of him.
Yeah.
53 as a rookie with the 260, 40 home runs, 131 RBIs led the league, 271, 217 and 23, 240 with 34 last year, which was a weird year that we talked about, and then 272 with 38 this year. Has the durability, has the stuff where he is like one of your guys. That all plays in his favor. But listen, if Pete signs, and I'm kind of with, I'm holding. I'm also like, if the Mets are going to replace him, you got to do better, like Doug Minkiewicz type, right? You have to get it and play defense. And it's like, holy shit, we have Keith Hernandez. That's who I want. I want Keith fucking Hernandez here, who can hit the ball, at least in play, and can also field it. But I need every Mets fan, and included myself, everyone holding here. We have to make a fucking pact that we're not going to complain about Pete in 2 to 3 years when if he starts slowing down like all these guys do, can't play the position. Him and Soto are both our DHs because they both suck at defense. Like at some point we just have to live with that because Stearns does not want Pete. This is going to be a Cohen signing. I think we can agree on that. I don't think Pete is Stearns' kind of guy, for better or worse.
I just won't get it. I'll never understand that.
What?
It's still people saying no deferred money. I get that because we have the richest owner in baseball. It's still a business. If you're paying the premium tax, his contract becomes even more expensive. Like you're going to cost $25 million that we have to pay this.
Aspiration trees, man. Call up Uncle Dennis. Somebody figure it out.
And Cohen ain't gonna make sure there's a fucking paper trail for Pablo Torre to get his fucking nose in. He's gonna make that shit airtight. He's doing it. He probably has already done it like 10 times. Soto's real contract is probably $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
It's also hard to take deferred money when there's going to be a lockout in 2 years and baseball ceases to exist.
I would want deferred money, by the way. I'd love like you're gonna retire when you're like at the best case scenario 40. I want a paycheck forever.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani was smart to make $2 million a year. In 10 years from now,
it allows the team the flexibility to figure out whatever else is going on.
Yeah.
Because and by the way, this team has never actually had a true DH. So if Pete will just be like, I will play DH, give up on his Golden Glove side quest that he's been trying for the last 3 years, never winning it. We can then move Vientos. We can figure out what the hell else is going on. And then we could probably be a better team. You can't give up 126 RBIs. Like Soto's season.
The fact that we're even debating this is insane.
Yes.
You know what fucking payments are lockout proof? Aspiration payments, under the table payments. If there's no baseball, if baseball ceases to exist as a sport, but you have an agreement with a billionaire to make fucking fraudulent money under the table, that is the safest bet you can make. Pete, call Steve without that rat Boris. Boris is probably in on it. What am I saying?
Yeah, right.
He's negotiated for Soto. He's going to negotiate for Pete. All right, this one I think is going to be a no-brainer. This might be the quickest one. Edwin Diaz.
Done.
$1 billion. I don't worry about the ninth,
whatever
maybe for a year or two more. I would put no WBC in the contract. I don't know if he'll sign it then, but fuck the WBC.
Or no, if you get injured in a WBC, the whole contract's voided.
Honestly, I would legit put that in there.
Is it 26 or 27?
It's next year.
26.
Oh, fuck. I was like, because the WBC, does that happen if there's a lockout?
Yeah, we need that to coincide with the lockout. That would be perfect.
That's what we need to happen.
Yeah.
It's next March, so gotta deal with that.
All right. Diaz, across the board hold. Just because, he's taking away the boogeyman. I think Marte is like a sad fold. Keep him as a coach, or as like fucking Soto's buddy, Herb Williams, to Patrick Ewing back in the day.
I'm fine just letting him go.
I'm fine with letting him go, but I feel like they're like, I don't know. You gotta learn how to exist without your babysitter. I know we love him, but if you're taking up a spot and taking up money, that's just silly.
Kyle, fold.
Yeah, no.
We all love Marte.
There's just no spot.
Mullins, fold. How many times can you fold a piece of paper before it
7 times? We're folding in an 8th and a 9th and a 10th. Fuck this guy. I cannot believe that guy had 15, 16 home runs at the break. You're telling me there's a world where Mullins was on pace to hit 30 home runs? He was the worst for us. That's another one where it's I certainly didn't think Mullins was going to like put us over the top, but I was like, he's a serviceable bat who's going to hit some dingers, and it just never even came close to happening.
This one's interesting. Helsley? Like, what do we make of Helsley?
He can't come back, but he'll be the guy, I guarantee. He signs like 1 year, however so many million with the Royals, and he's gonna be an all-star next year, and then get traded at the deadline again.
I would be cool with keeping him under. I need to like know whether he's like not a New York guy is like an actual thing that's like a problem for him. Like, I think that's kind of a made up narrative. When he was pitching poorly, I could see it being like, wow, you guys gave up on that guy really quick. Like, yeah, he was terrible, but it was a bad couple months and now he's great. But I do need to know, like, I don't know how you figure that out, but if New York and the people and the politics and the stage and the media is too much for you, then you shouldn't be here. But I think that's a guy. I think these 2 months are the outlier, like you said about Pete's bad season. I think he's going to be a good pitcher.
And I do think he's one of those guys who his numbers every year were getting a little worse. And then it's like, obviously with us, it blew up. I don't think you sign that guy off of a bad year. Can he do it here? Find something in the minors. I trust Stearns will figure out like guys to get either in the minors or buying low on somebody.
Sometimes like there's a guy who's going to be good elsewhere. And like Kaz Matsui or some of these guys that's just like, it was just never going to work here. And you one day you find out like, oh, wow, that guy was, or
Turner.
Turner was a good one. Like Murphy at some stages, it was just sort of like, it was never going to work here. It sucks that it worked somewhere else, but that was never in the cards for us.
Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, everyone that's ever played quarterback on the New York football teams lately. So this one's interesting. Tyler Rogers.
I'm fine with him.
I keep him.
He's an innings eater for sure.
Yes,
you could use him back-to-back days if you're smart. Like he doesn't like throw hard or anything. Like,
you need that funk. You need a funky guy. I think the bullpen was really, if the bullpen wasn't totally overtaxed or put in terrible positions all the time, I think the bullpen would have been great.
It's probably a good bullpen. It's just they had to pitch every fucking game. Like,
you'll never know.
You had to use it the entire time.
He's a puzzle piece that definitely makes a lot of things easier just having him available. I think they have to learn how to use them. I think avoiding lefties is very important. Mm-hmm. That's just my thing. I've always been like that with the weirdos. Soto, I'm pretty Gregory Soto. Whatever.
One way or the other.
That's a guy that you could probably find another version of him and plug him in. You
cheaper and younger. Stanek, Kunzel, right? Hardcore.
Kunzel the fucking shit out of that guy.
Canning, I don't know if he's gonna be able to walk by this time next year, right? He's fucked.
That's another one that feels like you could probably hopefully find another Canning where it's like, he's not one of a kind, you know.
Really?
That one most underrated thing Stearns did, like finding Brooks Raley off the scrap heap off Tommy John yet again.
Yep.
And he's probably the most reliable guy.
If he likes it here, we like it here. And then, I mean, this kind of comes down to the managers and the coaches. So we kind of touched them. We touched on Mendoza, Hefner, Chavez. I mean, Chavez was like the first 3 months of this show is all we talked about was Chavez, right? So by the way, the Stearns press conference at 3:30 is going to be interesting because he's going to say something. But do you have any? We've already talked about Stearns. And listen, the Stearns moves that like everyone references, Montes was a fucking disaster. I think this was the last year he was going to do the Montes and the Quintana or what's it called? Like those signings, the Severinos. I think this was the last year because he knew these arms were coming. Mm-hmm. So I really think like you could do whatever. I do not care anymore.
I think Stearns, what he wants to say is like, I don't fucking care about all this noise. I have a plan. It was always in place. I was trying to win in the short term while building my long-term plan. And like, I don't fucking care about what you guys are screaming and yelling about. You can't say that. And he'll probably just give you lip service. I think everybody should stop watching or putting stock in post-game press conferences, after the season press conferences. It's always just lip service. None of this is real. They don't actually think what they're saying. Don't put any weight in it. Just stop.
I mean, I do think he is going to like go out of his comfort zone for a starting pitcher, but like the ones available, it's like Framber Valdez. Do you like him? He's a bit of a head case.
Just looking trying to kill his catcher.
Yeah, it's like, do you want that? Ranger Suarez try to steal him from the Phillies. Brandon Woodruff, Michael King. Maybe there's someone from Japan I'm missing. That's like going to be the best one. But
it's so hard, man. Unless you have like a Garrett Cole that you're like, here's $300 million, and you know you got an ace. It's always going to be a crapshoot at this point.
This
Tommy
is why
John
Yamamoto was so important because it was like you got him, you didn't have all the other hoops you had to jump through for him, and you had him locked in young. And
David Peterson threw 3 2/3 more innings than Clay Holmes, and he had a 4.22 ERA versus Holmes having a 3.53.
The
crazy.
innings is the crazy part because Peterson was the one that was eating them
Yep.
for the first 4 months, whereas Holmes was always 5 innings or so.
Mhm.
I was very firmly he was my guy going into the season. I thought for sure you'd extend him and we wouldn't have to have any of these real conversations. We have $75 million tied up in Manaea, $75 million tied up in Senga, and $38 million tied up in Clay Holmes.
Yep. So I want to go around the rotation here and talk about that because that's a big point. That's going to be brought to you by DraftKings as we round up this episode. October baseball is here, not for the Mets, but for everyone else. The pressure's on, the lights are brighter, and the swings, they're bigger. One pitch, one swing, one home run can flip the entire series. God knows we know that. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, you're right there in the middle of every moonshot moment, boys. The biggest loss of this season is not being in the cave with my aliens and just living and dying with this together. There's nothing like a playoff homer. The crowd erupts, the bat flip flies, and you're screaming at your TV. And now you can feel that same rush in the palm of your hand. DraftKings Sportsbook delivers the intensity of October with player props, live in-game betting, and odds that can change as fast as the ball flying over the fence. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get paid out $200 in bonus bets instantly. Swing for the fences this October with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code BELIEVE. That's code BELIEVE to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. And I guess on the other side of that, though, playoff baseball is just not fun if your team is in it. It's fun watching other teams. If you hate watching teams, it's not even fun because you always think they're going to come back and then you're worried about your team losing if your team's in it. So go with DraftKings, make some bets, get to have some fun just watching from afar. All right, rotation. So this is what I have here. McLean, ace. He is our guy, number one. He's locked in. Sproat, rotation or no rotation?
In.
Gotta be in.
Yeah, he did enough.
Unless he just has something where the defense for some reason can't play behind him because they just forget how to play the sport. That was his biggest problem, was they just never supported him in the field. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky now. Manaea.
I mean, he's got to be in. He's signed for 2 more years.
Yeah, you have to.
I also think
He's gonna get arm surgery and be fine.
I'm very willing to see what you got with after you're healthy. The arm angle thing was I thought a good thing. Maybe that contributed to the injury. I don't know, but we at least got to see. I mean, if he returns to form, you'd be over the fucking moon about it.
Yes, agreed. Peterson.
I don't know.
I think you got it. I think those guys you have to show, you have to see the rubber match. You had a good game and a bad game. You got to find out the real. I think you at least got to pitch those guys and see if you can have what you once had during the good times. I also wonder sometimes what did Peterson pitch more innings than he ever hit this year?
Yes.
So when we used to praise and talk about those, he went 8 innings, 7 innings. It's maybe those were games where you should have come out after 6, and now we know that down the stretch he runs out of gas and things that you have to manage differently. I think it's worth at least seeing what happens.
He does have 1 more year left on his deal, so it's that.
If you took the second half of 24 and the first half of 25, he had a full calendar year of being exceptional.
Lights out. Yeah.
So he's going to be 31 next. He turns 31 next September. Going to be pitching for a big contract.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, though.
That is part of it.
I think George Pickens right now, he's going to be on his best behavior for the Cowboys. And then whoever signs him, God fucking.
He could be a trade chip. I don't know. Maybe a team pitching is scarce.
Yeah.
Maybe they can get something.
Yep. Now this is the interesting one. Senga. Senga, I just looked up his contract here. He's $15 million due, 26 and 27, and then conditional club in 28. By the way, Phil, what does it mean on Sport Track when it says buried with an anchor? Is that just saying he was buried to Syracuse? Because Pete Alonso fucking Kodai Senga must be cursing Pete Alonso every day. He has to eat the Syracuse food instead of being in New York City.
I think it may mean that because remember he would have been able to opt out of his contract if he hit a certain innings threshold.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd have to imagine that's it. But which I think he was never close to because he was always buried. I guess means that.
So, if you're only a few months removed from a guy having a 1 ERA at the break, everyone's saying he should have been an all-star. I just think these are all guys that if you pull the plug on them now, I think you're selling low. Basically, it's they
you can't
all have
rely
the
on
potential.
him. You can have him, but you can't sit here and tell him we're gonna get 30 starts at Kodai Senga next year when he hasn't done that either the last 2 years.
All right. So then, I think you have to throw him in the rotation because there's nowhere else to put him just the way he is. Clay Holmes. the guy who was like.
So here's the thing. We just made the entire rotation. It's like, well, we're going to keep all these guys next year.
So it's McLean, Stroke, Mania, Senga, and say you put Holmes in there. Peterson. That's 6 guys right there. And then you have Sweet Jonah in the minors, which I think we could all agree he should.
And Christian Scott's going to be there too.
And Christian Scott's in the mix now too.
But I think you need all these guys. Like, I know it seems like, well, what are we going to do with them? It's like, okay, well, 4 of them are going to get hurt. 2 of them are going to be Tommy John. 2 of them are going to be an oblique. You need like 8 guys. So, like, at some point, I bet all of these guys are in the rotation.
You're going to see Stearns go out of his comfort zone, I think, and trade for a starting pitcher. Now, I don't know who that could be. If that's a Joe Ryan, if Alcantara's on the market. I just can't see us running back the exact same starting pitching group after this year.
Yes, agreed.
But it's not really the same in the sense of like when you get full starts from the kids, like that's going to be different.
I get it, but you do need a veteran in there, like a fresh face. Like I think that's I want to say you need an ace, but like at the same time, let's say you do what the D-backs did. You got Corbin Burns, the guy can blow his arm out. Stearns has like gone out of his comfort zone before. Like he's the same guy that traded for Christian Yelich, which at the time was a pretty good prospect package.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I do think like with this starting rotation. We will talk. Honestly, I'm trying to think like who would I talk to like 3-5 years down the road. I'm going to talk to AJ, who's too young to understand this, and be like, dude, back when you were 7 years old and 25, the Mets would have like guy would throw 1 2/3, and then the next guy would go 2 innings, and then the guy that went 3 2/3, and you're like, oh, at least we got 3 2/3. He's like, that's all they want. I'm like, yeah, it was every night, dude. It was every night. So all those guys coming back does feel like and I do think there's trade. Defensively, we're talking free agents. The free agent class, it doesn't fit our needs. I think the trade market is what Stearns has to work.
And also, like, when I bring up like trading for a starting pitcher, I was one of the people that wanted Garrett Crochet last year as a trade. I said he'd be more reliable than Fried or Burns. About the same as what Fried was, but the Red Sox trade for Garrett Crochet, he's going to be top 2 in Cy Young voting. You got the extension. Sometimes you got to take the risk.
Yeah, but you know what? If he gets hurt here, McLean goes out and does McLean stuff for the White Sox, we'd be like, holy fuck, that's so. It's like I'm with you, Phil. I wanted Crochet. You never know, and he's fine.
I'm not envious of Stearns' position because I think you could make the case for like. I think this year's the outlier, and if that rotation were to perform, I think you'd have a great rotation. So I think there's a temptation to be like, it could work. But if they go back out there to start the season and it's the same results, and people are gonna be like, you didn't think you needed to change that rotation, people will go fucking bonkers.
You have to go outside your comfort zone. Like it's just what it is. And there's gonna be a shocking trade. It's gonna surprise a lot of us. It's gonna hurt like the prospect huggers, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
So, and then that takes me to basically the end of it. So that was the trade pieces. So we have the Vientos, Mauricio, Beatty, Log Jam, and I do think Beatty is probably the most likely to be third because he can actually do both parts of the game, where the other two, I think Vientos' bat might have a higher ceiling, and Mauricio could become a fucking Ellie De La Cruz for all I know. The good and the bad.
You say that at the same time, Beatty has the highest trade value of the group too. They could trade him, then sign someone.
So that's where, like, if you really were to make your bones as a GM and you really got like big dick, throw it on the table. If you think that like Vientos is going to bounce back or Mauricio is going to reach his potential, the move would probably be to move the guy who's like established and you get the most for him. But that's a big fucking risk. If Vientos stays bad, if Mauricio never puts it together and you left the guy who's, not a fucking MVP, but just like a solid 20 home run third baseman, that's going to look bad. But if it works out, you're the fucking genius. That's where it's like you really could show something.
I mean, baseball's done. The Red Sox trade Rafael Devers. They make the playoffs, and the Giants.
That's right. And like, I mean, if Vientos were to bounce back, you'd be like, we're great. All you need is one of those guys to really like establish themselves, and then you can make trades, you can move around. But right now, everything from the rotation to these guys is kind of this in between of like, it could, it might, probably won't, but it could.
I'd love to know what they truly think of these three guys because, they may let – I'm sure the Red Sox were like, man, Devers could make us look like idiots. He's so good hitting, but he's a fucking dickhead. He won't play first.
Yeah, you never know what's really going on.
The fucking Nomar trade is the, highest level of that, right? And Boston, I think Portnoy's still mad at the Red Sox about that all these years later. So, and they had the great run after that. McNeil – Jeff, I think I could live with him being our utility outfielder and sometimes at second. I don't think he has the personality for that, though. I think
Clem? No. No. What DFA him, trade him for a bag of balls, do fucking throw him in the fucking Hudson. Do whatever you. That guy sucks. And I'm not even really talking about like he does not perform. I hate the attitude. He's always a dick, and it's like, you stink, dude. It's not everybody else. It's not the umpire. It's not Lindor. You're slamming your helmet. You're breaking your back. You fucking suck, dude. Get off this team. I'm done with that guy.
He's also going to be 34 next year, too. How long is that defensive versatility going to last for when you keep getting older?
Is this the last year of his contract?
I think he has a
No, I think it's
option
It's a
after that.
4-year. When did he
yeah.
sign?
I think it's 2 more. Eat whatever you got to eat. Get him gone, dude.
He's got 12 mil next year and 15 mil next year. 15. Oh, no, it's just 15 mil next
Whatever.
year.
Yeah,
Whatever, dude.
call option in 27. Maybe Stevie gets him on like the PGA Tour. He retires from baseball. And, does some aspiration shit to make the money man. Okay, so I'm with you guys. Like I could have lived with the defensive thing. He's our wild card. 34 years old, and I mean, I looked up his. I'm like, what is he even like batting? He's batting 247 this year. I'm like, this guy was a batting champion.
He was a batting champ. And by the way, his defensive versatility is like he made 2 errors in like the biggest game of the year. I think there's zero value in that guy.
When Acuna's in, and granted Acuna can't bat, but like it's like holy shit, like that's what it's like having someone at the middle. And listen, we could talk about the prospects. I have no clue they're gonna pan out. Jet Williams, hopefully somewhere up that middle there, center field, second base, wherever he isn't. There's Banga, looks awesome in the minors, right, Phil? Banga was crushing. Benj. I never know how to say his name. And we won like every fucking minor league title this year, it seems. So
I know.
there is help coming.
Like, we have one of the better farms. Use that to make a trade. Go out of your comfort zone. But
Yep. Is there anyone else that you guys wanted? Like, I think that rotation, even though we're going to need those arms, like Kev said, there's 7-8 guys. Your 2 guys are going to get hurt. The other guy is going to get hurt in April, and then you're going to have your starting rotation. But, like, if Peterson's in a deal, I mean, you're not going to get anything for Minaya at this point. Senga, probably nothing. Holmes, like, the kids, I guess you could trade the kids if you Tong, Scott, the Weddington guy, whatever.
What you need to do is convince somebody, like it's the definition of selling low, but like if you can convince somebody, like, listen, Senga's gonna get healthy, and you might get a 1 ERA. Minaya changes arm angle. He had new life when he gets healthy. If you can convince somebody that there's value in that and get something in return, I think you maybe pull the trigger. I just don't know who would ever take that risk.
Just call the Rays and be like, guys, I know you're going to figure out, like, which guy here are you going to rob us of, and he's going to be awesome. Just take him. Give us something that, like, can at least appease the masses right now, which takes me to my final point. And this just might be, like, I don't even know if it's the old man in me. I think it's just a Mets fan who's just tired of this shit. And I didn't hear it yesterday, and I'm fine with it, but I want an apology. What do you think about that? I want someone to apologize for this season. And it could be a player. It could be a coach, a manager. It should be Steve Cohen. You told us to come out to the ballpark. We came out to the ballpark. We made Citi Field fucking rocking all year. Fucking franchise record and tickets sold. All this kind of stuff. We ride and die with this team. We were fucking, pumping up from day one. We were there all the way to the final series. And it's just like, we didn't try hard. We did this, we did that. Fucking Kyle Hamilton yesterday, he apologized to the Ravens fans. Like, I'm sorry, Ravens fans, we're just not giving it to you, this and that. I'm like, we have to hear it from every fucking fan base. I have the Marlins fucking lighting off fireworks after they beat us. And that's just part of being a Mets fan. I've realized the Mets are the team that everyone laughs at. And until we stop making them laugh at us, they're going to keep doing the same. The Mets.
But why? Let me ask you this. Why? Laughing is one thing. Like, rooting against and hating, and that's what seems what people do to the Mets. I don't get that. I get it's New York.
Yeah,
big money.
It died in the wool. It's the Jets. It's the Browns. It's like you are that fan base. And the fans then going crazy, crying, screaming online at this point now in the new world. That's just what it is. The New York papers. Next year, we could start 6-0 and then just like go 82 and 80 for the season. Be like,
but the start.
The Mets collapse after their 6-0 start?
I know. But you know what? I think Steve Cohen would be smart enough to apologize. The problem is, you, me, we want an apology. The rest of the crazy Mets fans, there's no reason to fucking cater to them because an apology won't fix it. Getting new players won't fix it. They are going to complain and say that you're a fraud and that you suck and blah, blah, blah until you win a World Series and nothing else will satiate them. So don't even why even bother? Why cater to them? Because there's no making them happy.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I do think those people are when the the people write their headlines or the social media team makes their tweet, or they wrote OMG and everyone lost their mind. They know they're rage baiting us, and we are.
And we're taking the bait.
We're one piece of brain away from turning into a mushroom cloud laying motherfucker. My last old movie reference of the season for you guys right there, Pulp Fiction. By the way, One Battle After Another was a good fucking time. Anyone seen it? Check that shit out.
Yeah, I heard.
Can I say one more thing? The people that are like, oh, they should have brought back Jose Iglesias. The guy batted 220 with a 590 OPS. If he was putting up those stats for us, nobody would have cared about OMG or the pop star stuff. That stuff only played last year because, one, the team was winning, and two, the guy had like a 140 OPS plus, was one of the best players on the fucking team.
He had like one of the best, like most improbable seasons of all time.
I don't care about like clubhouse culture, whatever the fuck it is. I care about good players. And he wasn't good.
But you know what? Like the clubhouse culture stuff does matter as long as you're performing.
As long as you're winning.
Then it's extra. Yeah. That if you could have brought back Jose Iglesias' year from last year, of course. But
I would have gladly had another 3-win player on the roster. Thank you.
And you know what? Jose's series sucks and people want rid of him, and I understand that. But also, if in a world where he stayed healthy and he was doing his antics and getting all fired up, people probably would have loved him. It's just about whether you perform or not.
Also, Jesse Winker was on this team this season.
Same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't have your clubhouse guy be an off-injured, aging player. You need to have a guy. I mean, Iglesias was that too, but it's like, I don't know. Winker just felt like he was more likely to get hurt or just bat 100 than Iglesias.
Even last year, after Jose Iglesias hit the fucking continent, they lost the next 2 games after that. People were bitching about that. It's like, oh, you're focusing on that. It's like, no, people only care when you fucking win.
And my real last movie quote, 2024, the OMG Mets, it's like The Sopranos. It's over. Move on. Find a joke.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about Grimace anymore. That's dead. Everything is dead. 24 is dead. Thankfully now, 25 is dead. 26.
24 was like a perfect storm of good. It didn't get us to the promised land, but it was like everything went the way it needed to. 25 has been a perfect storm of bad, and you got to move on to 26 and find something in the middle that's not a little more sustainable.
What was the fun moment of this year?
Yeah. Someone said the 10, amazing moments or whatever.
I mean, you say that, but we were talking about this being one of the easiest, most enjoyable, delightful Mets summers of all time because they were like 30 games above 500.
And then the summer started.
Yeah.
The summer started.
But I guess there wasn't like fun like OMG and Grimace, but it was like, you know what the fun part was? Being 30 games over 500.
Yeah, when Juan Soto was flipping bottles at Dodger Stadium after we won the
That was fun.
series.
I do remember that day. And Acuna had the mask on and was playing catcher. And like that was fun. That was about it.
Oh my God.
And you know what? Even like
about that day.
like people being like, we never had a comeback. Like this team is heartless and gutless. Like again, that's never gonna happen. Like in the history of baseball, no team is ever gonna go through another season where they don't have a comeback win. That's like, yes, you can say that's not clutch or they didn't execute or whatever, but also there's part of it that's like, that's baseball, Susan. That's not gonna happen again. I guarantee you that.
All right, going around the room. Final word for the 2025 Mets as we wrap up here. Kev, what's your final words for the 2025 Mets?
Console.
Phil.
I said I wouldn't console during the season.
It's over.
Thank God. Kyle.
Not looking forward to the return of this starting rotation.
I will say this to wrap up. To the guys who showed up to the watch party, to the people in the chat, to the people who tune into this every week, Armand, those guys, like, you're the good ones. There's so many bad Mets fans. I hate like the majority of the fan base, but the people who rode all year for this team are the real ones. And that's the good of the Mets fan base. And those are the people that deserve the apology and deserve the future. And the rest of them can go suck my dick.
My final words. Gotta believe. Fuck you guys.
I guess so. I don't know. I guess so. You gotta believe.
Yeah, Mets 21-20. You're a real one. Don't worry.
Yes, you too, Sam.
You might be the realest one.
All right. I'll catch you guys later.